Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. And dear students, today we are going to continue our ongoing chapter, that is plant growth and development. And today we are going to discuss this development topic today. Till now we have discussed about the growth. Now we will discuss about the development. So if we talk about the development, what it is? So it is a term that includes all changes that an organism goes where organism whatever the changes that organism goes through during its life cycle, from a germination of seed to the senescence, that include a development events in the particularly a growth, and it is applicable to all tissues or organ or organism. And obviously this includes the sequential events that occur in the life history of a cell, organ or organism. So it is from seed germination to the senescence. So this developmental event include, in case of organism it include, we initially we have a seed, then seed undergo germination, so we call it seed germination. Then growth will take place, the mature juvenile phase will be there, then growth period or juvenile phase, then the maturation phase will be there or reproductive phase is there. So maturation take place, and maturation, then flowering will be observed, then fruiting will take place. From fruits the seed again become available, and then the particularly senescence will be observed. So this way whole plant or organ undergo or such developmental changes in the life history of a cell or organ or organism. So the term development is also applied to the changes in phases of life, that is vegetative to flowering, leaf initiation to leaf expansion. Okay, so this way occurs. Now, it is also known that development occur even at subcellular level. Occur even at subcellular level. Example, if we take, that is the appearance of chloroplast in cells exposed to light. So whatever the cells exposed to light, the chloroplast appear. So it is a one of the developmental event. And obviously the last phase of development is senescence. And this senescence obviously lead to the death. So these are some of the things. Now, if we talk about the sequence of events, if we talk about sequence of events, so sequence of events occurring during development of cell. So the sequence of events occurring during development of cell development of cells of higher plant is as follows. So if we talk about this development, then we remember that there is a meristematic cell, as we know. First, what happens? Meristematic cell go undergo plasmatic growth, that is protoplasmic growth. As the protoplasm grows, the cell either again, if this meristematic cell, its protoplasmic growth happens and it increases in the size. After this, this cell again undergo a cell division and form a meristematic cell, or it has another way where it will go undergo expansion. Expansion completes, and before expansion complete, enlargement starts, then differentiation initiates, then maturation takes place, and that is going to form a mature cell. So the meristematic cells after plasmatic growth, it has a two way. Either it will differentiate or either it will undergo division. If the mature cell is formed, mature cell will undergo a death after the senescence. So this is the what events which occur in the higher plant cell. So this way the development can be observed. So different structures develop in different phases of the growth as well as in response to the environment. And there are three developmental stages as we have discussed: juvenile, vegetative, and the adult reproductive stage. Vegetative reproductive from juvenile stages produces juvenile plant, while the same from adult stage give rise to the adult plant. So here, to understand the development, we understand one of the important topic, that is the plasticity. And in plant, we know that the intrinsic property of a plant is that it follows a different pathway. So plant follows a different pathway in response to the environment or the phases of life to form a different kind of structure. So the ability to change under the influence of internal and external stimuli, it is a nothing but plasticity. So it is the ability of a what plasticity can be defined is as a what, it can be defined as the ability to change under influence of internal or external stimuli, and that is called a plasticity. Now if we talk about the examples of the plasticity, then this is examples are the heterophyly in cotton, coriander, and the larkspur. Now what is heterophyly? Then we remember these are the two examples of the heterophyly. There are heterophyly means what, we can define it as a occurrence of different type of leaves. Heterophyly is defined as occurrence of different type of leaves on the same plant. On the same plant during the developmental changes, or means a different type of leaves in the juvenile and adult phase, or a different type of leaves in the same plant in a terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. So that is a heterophyly. That is occurrence of different type of leaves. And here you can see this is the one example where it is given that a juvenile phases they have the small leaves, but a large big leaves are seen in the adult phases. So this is the example of a developmental heterophyly. But as you can see here, in terrestrial habitat and water habitat there is a different type of leaves. So this is an example of environmental heterophyly, because environmental is differing, and as a shape of leaves is also getting different. So in such plant, the leaves of the juvenile plant are different in shape from those in a mature plant. Then we call a developmental heterophyly, and it is given here. So different shape of leaves produced in air and those produced in water in buttercup also represent the heterophylous development due to environmental, that is the environmental heterophyly. We remember in environmental heterophyly the example is a buttercup. Okay. This is this one. But as before this, we have discussed the developmental heterophyly. The example of that are the cotton coriander and larkspur. Okay. Now this buttercup is also known as ranunculus. This buttercup, if you talk, it is also known as ranunculus flagellaris. That is buttercup. Now, the growth, differentiation, development are very closely event related event in the life of a plant, obviously. And why? Because the development is equal to growth plus differentiation. Okay, so this is the what a particular development events, and ultimately development events give rise to the a particularly developed plant. So development is regarded as a sum total of growth and development. Means development is equal to growth plus differentiation. So development in plants, that is both growth and differentiation, is under a control of intrinsic as well as extrinsic factor. Obvious development is under the control of intrinsic as well as extrinsic factor. Okay, and if it is under the control of intrinsic and extrinsic factor, then intrinsic factor include both intracellular, means the genetic component which is found within the cell, within the nucleus, or the intercellular factor, which is a chemical such as a plant growth regulator. So intrinsic factor include the intracellular genetic component and the intercellular, that is a chemicals, that is a plant growth regulator. Plant growth regulator are synthesized by a one cell. They passes through the intercellular space and show it effects on the another cell. Whereas the external factor include the light, temperature, water, oxygen, nutrition, etc. Okay. So factor affecting development, as we have discussed, intrinsic, extrinsic. Intrinsic has a genetic intracellular and hormonal intercellular, and extrinsic light, temperature, water, oxygen, and nutrients. Now, the hormonal are the plant growth regulator that we have to discuss. That is important for us, and that we are going to discuss here, mainly here. Okay. So let's discuss some of the questions, and then we will start with the plant growth regulators. So development in plant is under the control of, obviously it is both intrinsic and extrinsic factor. The intrinsic factor that affect the plant development are hormone and genetic, because light, oxygen, nutrient, and water are the extrinsic factor. Plant follow different pathway in response to the environment, and is called, obviously it is known as plasticity. And heterophyly is example of plasticity. Hydrophyte with environmental heterophyly is obviously a ranunculus flagellaris, that is with environmental heterophyly. Hydrophyte with environmental heterophyly. Obviously, it cannot be the cotton, should be careful because cotton shows the developmental heterophyly. Ranunculus is going to be the correct answer. Then, final stage during the development is elongation, maturation, cell division, senescence. Obviously, a senescence which lead to the death. Okay, so that is all about what an introductory part to the development. Now, our main focus will be on the plant growth regulators from the next lecture. Okay, and in that we are going to discuss the 5 different plant growth regulators which are found in case of the plant. Okay, I hope you understood well. Thank you everyone.